Hey guys, welcome back to CLOWNFISH TV. This is Kneon, and we're going to talk about Collider, CollegeHumor, and the apparent digital media implosion. Yeah, you know, it's going to get worse in 2020 if you work for a website or you're a digital journalist, because it seems like a lot of these sites are closing down and laying off people at a shocking rate. Just in the last year or two, there have been massive amounts of layoffs in the digital media space. And now CollegeHumor fired everybody, pretty much fired everybody. I didn't think this was going to happen, although there were some indicators that CollegeHumor was not doing that well a couple of months ago. And of course, we're going to give an update on Collider, which is not doing very well since suddenly announcing its refocus the day after New Year's and basically firing their entire video crew. It's not working out very well for them either. And then we'll talk a little bit about Gizmodo, which wants to unionize, and I think that's actually going to be the kiss of death for Gizmodo, for the people over at Geo Media, because I think the company that they're working for now, Geo Media, I don't think they have any qualms cutting people loose who don't stick to sports. So before we get into the video, please subscribe to CLOWNFISH TV. We're at about 88,000 subs, hoping for 100,000 soon. You guys have been incredible. So we're going to talk about CollegeHumor, and I got to give a hat tip to Ramstein, who sent me that story. I was actually going to do another story about the collapse of digital media and an update on Collider for all of you. And, you know, here comes CollegeHumor. But before we get into that, I want to talk about all of the media outlets that have laid off massive amounts of employees and journalists. And it's not just news outlets. Like anybody, like all of the media companies are laying people off. It is a bad time to work for another company if you're into digital media, whether that's news or content creation or working for a website, because a lot of these websites that were stable 5-10 years ago are bloated and positively archaic by 2019-2020 standards, and the traffic has dropped off on a lot of these websites. And we'll talk about Collider, and we'll talk about CollegeHumor especially, which has been around forever. CollegeHumor has been around forever, and they just couldn't make it profitable enough for all the people they had working there. But this article came out a couple of weeks ago from the Business Insider talking about the numbers of people that have been laid off in digital media. 7,800 people have lost their jobs so far this year in 2019 in a media landslide. And there are more. I know Geo Media is cutting people loose. I've heard Buzzfeed has cut more people loose. And now we have CollegeHumor and Collider. In the past month, this was in December, in the past month, layoffs and cuts have hit Verizon Media, Gannett, and CBC, that's the Canadian Broadcasting, and High Snobiety, bringing the total number of media layoffs, cuts, and buyouts in 2019 above 7,800, according to Business Insider's tally. The latest cuts followed layoffs and buyout announcements at Buzzfeed, Vice, and Disney. We talked about that, and of course, you know, the situation with Geo Media, Gawker, which owns a bunch of sites, Kotaku, IO9, etc. They're not doing so hot either. For comparison, it's estimated that some 5,000 media jobs were cut from the market from 2014 to 2017. So in a 3 or 4 year span, there were only 5,000 media jobs lost. But in the last year, in 2019, there were 7,800. Now you got to throw some more people onto the tally just at the very beginning of 2020. You know, this is catastrophic especially if you went to school to be a digital content producer and you thought you were going to get some cushy job working for one of these digital media outlets. That time is over. Like, digital media actually seem to drop off a cliff faster than newspapers. It's crazy. All right, so here they have a running tally. This is just up until about the middle of December of all the media jobs that were lost in 2019, just 2019. Verizon cut 800 jobs in January of 2019. Gannett, 215 jobs in December, 400 in January of 2019. High Snobiety, 6 jobs December 5th. Now, it's nothing compared to what's going on with CollegeHumor right now. Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, 35 jobs in November. Beautycon Media, I've never even heard of that one. 9 jobs November, in September. Bell Media, 10 jobs. Toronto Star, 73 jobs. Bustle, 35 jobs. I wonder if they're going to mention Sports Illustrated. I think Sports Illustrated is cutting people loose too. Tampa Bay Times, 7 jobs. AM New York, 9 jobs. NBC, 82 jobs, October, September, August. Splinter, 7 jobs. WBIA-FM, 10 jobs. Sports Illustrated, there we go. Sports Illustrated, it was October. I think they had another round of cuts too. 40 jobs, Sports Illustrator. Huffington Post, 13 jobs in October. Pitchfork, 6 jobs, and Pitchfork doesn't have that many people working for them. Washington Post Express, 20 jobs. Yeah, they just shut the damn thing down. They shut the whole thing down. Spin lost 29 jobs. Rooster Teeth, which we talk about Rooster Teeth often. Again, this isn't just about news organizations. This is about media companies, websites, and the sustainability of these websites and media outlets. And Rooster Teeth, even though it deals primarily with animation, it still is a media outlet. 50 jobs in September. There were more in March. You just didn't hear about it. AXS TV, 40 jobs. Think Progress, 12 jobs. Kiplinger's, 11 jobs. Cox Media, Vice Media, 260. Yeah, Vice was catastrophic. 265 jobs at Vice. ESPN International, 20 jobs. Game Informer, at least 7 jobs. I didn't even know they had layoffs at Game Informer. Pacific Standard, 45. NPR, 9 jobs. I mean, if NPR is cutting people loose. Gatehouse Media, at least 243. Disney, 4,000 jobs and ongoing. Yeah, again, this isn't just about news outlets. This is all media companies. And Disney, when they acquired Fox, they brutally cut people loose. Rewire, 5 jobs. CTV, 11 jobs. God, this is Inverse, 5 jobs. Yeah, Inverse is such a funny site, aren't they? Entrepreneur, 4 jobs. Mad Magazine, about 10 jobs. Mad Magazine's over. It's over. It's done. Jet and Ebony, yeah, 15 jobs. Quartz, 11 jobs. Pride, 10 jobs. Youngtown Vindicator, 144 jobs. This is just last year. Meredith, 60 jobs. First Look Media, 15 jobs. Reading Eagle, 6 jobs. CNN, 100 jobs at CNN. 1091 Media, 9 jobs. It goes on and on. Geo Media, 25 jobs. This is kind of important. Geo Media is the current owner of Gizmodo, what's left of Gawker, Jezebel, Kotaku, and they're laying people off too. They laid off Victor Jeffries II on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, goodbye. Victor, you're gone. And I'm not, happy about this. I'm just saying these companies are cutting media employees at a shocking rate. If you're working for any media company at this point, producing content, producing articles, whatever it is you're doing, make damn sure your resume is updated. I don't care what company you work for. They could just tap you on the shoulder one day and say you're gone. Or not even. Look what happened with Collider. They gave everybody an hour's notice. Hey, you're done. And you're thinking, video is safe. And that's not actually the case. I expect a lot of layoffs at Gizmodo, Geo Media, because they're unionizing. They're attempting to unionize. And the current management, I don't think, is going to have anything to do with that. I really don't. I don't think they're going to be real happy about that. And they're going to look to cut corners. It just goes on and on and on. And I will put a link to this list. Again, this does affect, it's not just newspapers, it's not just news outlets, but it is other media, which is why I want to talk about CollegeHumor. CollegeHumor, which has been around for a very long time. Almost everyone at CollegeHumor is fired as new owner asks the internet for help. The cuts affect CollegeHumor, Dorkly, Drawfee, and Dropout. I am not familiar with the other two, but I do know CollegeHumor and Dorkly. As of today, the venerable comedy concern CollegeHumor Media is mostly dead. In the words of Sam Reich, its chief commercial officer, IAC, has made the difficult decision to no longer finance us. We're not going to bankroll this. And you have to realize that these media outlets, a lot of them, are being bankrolled by other businesses. They're being bankrolled by venture capital. Okay, if they can't turn a profit on their own, they're going to get shut down. And as I understand it, talking to a lot of people in the industry, the venture capital is starting to run out. We had about 5 or 6 years where so many of these websites were being funded by venture capital, and it's running out now. And if they can't turn a profit, then they get shut down because they have massive staffs. You know, these sites, they balloon. I mean, it's one thing when it's just a couple of guys working out of a college dorm or whatever. But once they get to a certain point where, you know, they go get an office building, and then next thing you know, they got, 200 people working for them. And, and that's great when things are good. But when things start to go south, those people are going to get cut loose. And, there's so much more overhead that you have to be so much more profitable when you have all those people working for you, which is what happened at Collider. Collider's video views started to drop. And, when you got a bunch of people on staff, you got to make some tough decisions. Problem is, you got to give people notice, or at least attempt to give people notice. And they didn't do that. And apparently CollegeHumor didn't get much notice either. 100 plus brilliant people lost their jobs, some of who are my dear, dear friends. That means the cuts hit every vertical. CollegeHumor, Dorkly, Drawfee, and Dropout. Only 5 to 10 people are left. Skeleton crew, according to Bloomberg. The news, however, wasn't all bad. They agreed to let Reich become the humor company's majority owner. But he's basically like, I don't know what to do with the site. In these next 6 months, I hope to be able to save Dropout, CollegeHumor, Drawfee, Dorkly, and many of our shows. He wrote, some will need to take on bold new creative directions. In order to survive, you may not agree with all of them, and this won't be the last time I ask for your support. What are they going to do Patreon? It's over. They might, some other media outlet might buy up the domain names, but I really feel like digital news, digital media, the bubble is bursting for these bloated media outlets. A lot of them started pre-YouTube. They started years ago. And, again, that injection of venture capital kept a lot of them afloat. Or they had corporate overlords that didn't mind, spending the money as an advertising expense or something. But it's not working for them. Now, there was some indication that CollegeHumor was not doing that well. And I do remember this from a couple of months ago. Adam Conover from Adam Ruins Everything, who jumped ship from CollegeHumor, said that this was part of the problem because video is a huge, huge part of kind of the solution and the problem. A lot of these media outlets did not make the transition to video like they should have, or at least they haven't been able to be profitable with their video output, because YouTube is basically killing a lot of these websites right now. So Adam Conover back in October said, my former employer CollegeHumor did this about Facebook. They took everything to Facebook. In order to beat YouTube, Facebook faked incredible viewership numbers, so CollegeHumor pivoted to Facebook. So did Funny or Die, many others. The result, a once thriving online comedy industry was decimated. $40 million fine is laughable. Shut Facebook down. Shut them down, says Adam Conover. A little more context. When I joined, CollegeHumor fans watch videos on our site. This is key. This is kind of the transition. A lot of the content of these old websites, people used to go to websites, for specific content. Now they just go to an aggregator, like YouTube, like Facebook, and they just get everything in one place. A lot of people could probably spend all day just on 2 or 3 websites and get all of their news, all of their entertainment, all in one place. So they're not going out to individual websites much anymore. But for stuff like, CollegeHumor or Funny or Die, they had to go to the site. Same with Rooster Teeth. Back in the day, you had to go to the website. That meant we sold the ads and controlled the metrics. We had a killer ad sales team and made custom videos for major brands. YouTube was mostly just to drive traffic to the site. It was actually a real business. We posted links to Facebook, of course, but the links led to our site. I specifically remember the fateful day someone said, you have to see the numbers native videos get on Facebook. They're insane. Too good to pass up, so we started posting videos natively to Facebook instead. Facebook, I'm gonna be honest, Facebook lied about numbers. As someone who ran a blog that posted video mainly to Facebook, Facebook numbers were way inflated. Way inflated. We had videos that had very little engagement, registering like 10 or 20,000 views. And they've dialed it back a little bit. Now you have to watch for at least 3 seconds, I guess. But the problem is you can't really monetize Facebook. Not like YouTube. It takes a lot to be able to monetize Facebook, to be able to get to that point, and I don't think the rates are nearly as good as YouTube's, and that's YouTube being a shell of what it was even a couple of years ago. So the problem was no way to monetize. In fact, instead of our viewers coming to our site and seeing ads, Facebook's model is to charge you for access to your fans. This is entirely true. Site traffic plummeted. So did ad rates, and thus video budgets. Our Facebook views were awesome, but now we know those were a lie. Yeah, some of them were. And that's what happened too. I remember Facebook pushing content creators a couple of years ago that they wanted people to create, to publish basically directly to Facebook. They wanted you to not even send people to your website, but you would publish on your WordPress site and it would publish to Facebook, and all that traffic would stay within the Facebook walled garden. That's great. But monetizing that is so much harder, but that's what they want. They want all the eyeballs on Facebook. The result, the beautiful constellation of independent comedy sites that represented a new emerging middle class of content creation shrunk and in many places collapsed. Without the video revenue, CollegeHumor, you know, it can't survive. All because of Facebook's falsified viewer data. Oh, and all the other shady shit they did. A few provisions. YouTube was not the internet swallowing behemoth it became in those days. That is true. YouTube was very small. Back then, people would go to YouTube for funny cat videos and gameplay videos, and then, you know, that was before YouTube became like the end-all be-all of everything. It's quite possible that YouTube would have eviscerated the business in exactly the same way, but it was very apparent at the time the real shift was Facebook. But YouTube, you can monetize much more effectively. So despite Facebook's effery, CollegeHumor has never stopped. Well, it did now. It did now. Their new site is called Dropout. Well, that was a couple months ago, and Dropout has dropped off. So yeah, this is really interesting to read this. And I do remember coming across it a couple months ago that I think this was kind of what predicted the end of CollegeHumor. If the traffic wasn't going to the site and their YouTube traffic wasn't what it could be, let's go out and see what that is. Well, 50 million plus views a month. That's not bad, you know, but again, how many people do they have working for them? You know, they get over 1 million views a day. This would be great if you were a small organization, but apparently CollegeHumor, even with these crazy impressive numbers, it's not enough to keep the company going, you know, because their production values and their staff and all of that. So yeah, you know, I mean, again, this is just kind of what's killing Collider too. If you go out to Collider's kind of dropping off a cliff here. Look at this, and we'll talk more about Collider. Now, Collider said that its video division was no longer sustainable because they were only pulling in like 6 million views a month. Now, again, for an individual YouTuber, that would be great. That's enough to make a living on. But you've got so many people working at Collider, and you've got a studio, and I think these guys are all working in like LA. And, you know, even at being optimistic, $24,000 a month just in ad revenue is not enough for, you know, that many people to live on, you know, and pay the editors and the producers. And when you've got individual YouTubers who are getting as many, if not more views, working with the skeleton crew or working by themselves, working out of their garages, their basements, their sheds, you know, corner of their house like we do, it makes these news outlets look kind of sad. You know, they look kind of sad. But we can see what laying people off with little to no notice gets you. Collider said they were going to refocus. They're going to refocus their video efforts, and they basically just fired everybody. Fired them. They gave them an hour's notice, and looks like the audience isn't liking it too much. I don't think that refocus is working out very well. They're losing thousands of subs a day. They're getting less traffic. They're getting less traffic than we do at this point, and we have under 100,000 subs. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what's. Yeah, they've lost 11,000 subs in the last 30 days. It could be worse. It could be worse. I don't know, because really you have to be privy to what's going on at Collider, and a lot of people aren't, because a lot of the media outlets aren't talking about it. You know, mostly it's YouTube chatter, but you know, I guess the CEO was out there today with a very strange live stream. He was talking about the future of Collider, and it was just a very awkward video. I did not watch the whole thing. I watched some takes on it, but the gist of it was he didn't seem really that sorry. You know, they could have handled it better, but I think a lot of these outlets, they basically looked at the finances for the end of the year last year, and they're like, this is dire. This is dire. We cannot survive. And they're throwing people overboard, you know, everywhere. Collider, CollegeHumor, Geo. You know, I would not be surprised if by the end of the year, especially with Gizmodo, Gawker, that we see a much leaner organization. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some comic book websites that have been holding on by their fingertips, that have been baiting and attacking fans for years. I wouldn't be surprised if they finally folded because they can't survive in this new ecosystem, which is, you know, focused primarily on video. So now more than ever, it's important that if you want to be a content creator, you build your own platform. You build a platform people can't take away from you. And I know people are like, well, YouTube could, you know, pull the rug out from underneath people and all that. But I'm like, if you're a small operation, you're nimble enough, you can pivot, you can make the transition. You can make sure you get into other stuff or find another platform or just do different kind of content or whatever. When you run a big organization with hundreds of people, you know, you can't make those pivots nearly as fast. And what happens is you get tossed overboard. If you can't run your own operation at this point, I don't think there's a future for you in digital media. I really don't. I think that you might get gigs here and there working on other people's stuff. But if you're going to school right now to be a digital journalist or digital content creator or something like that, it's going to be brutal. It's going to be really, really hard because there were just way too many websites, way too many media outlets, and people just are walking away. Things are changing very, very quickly. So we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to CLOWNFISH TV, and we'll talk to you guys later. Hey guys, thanks for watching CLOWNFISH TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.